सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां नारायणसमारम्भाम् आचार्यत्रयमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां नाहं कर्ता हरिः कर्ता तत्पूजा कर्मचाखिलं यद्यत् कर्म करोमि तत्सर्वं शम्भो तवाराधनम्। ओम नमो भगवते शिवानंदाय, ओम नमो भगवते चिदानंदाय, ओम नमो भगवते कृष्णानंदाय, ओम नमो नारायणाय, ओम नमः शिवाय। I was just coming to this wonderful Divine Peace Academy, and on the way only beautiful sunrise in our city. So at that time, I was just reading one quote of Guru Maharaj Swami Shri Chinanji Maharaj yesterday, and he said, that for a spiritual seeker, every day is a rebirth. See, in one sense, we say that Atman is not born, not dying like that, We identify with the self. But normally it doesn't happen. We identify with the upadhis or the agents, and that is how this jivatva is there. So in that sense, as long as the jivatva is there, as long as duality is there, it is good, that we can have a kind of spiritual rebirth. So every day we start fresh, and whatever we have gained in the past, we strengthen from that and we proceed towards the goal. So it's a reaffirmation of our goal. March to divinity, ascent to divinity, onward march to divinity. There's a very morning that feeling has to arouse, and that is what is indicated by sun rising. And that is also Prataswarami, Radhiswaratma Tattvam is it. And every day we get up in the morning that I am, the feeling that comes, that is the reflection, or that is the revelation of deep within Paramatma dwelling within. Yesterday we were discussing about two types of nishtha and two types of yoga, karma yoga and jnana yoga. One is this yoga of the performance of the action, other is yoga of the renunciation of the action. In karma yoga, what are we renouncing? Karma phala. We are renouncing karma phala, not the karma. Karma is always done. And what is karma, by the way? As per the Vedic literature and everything, they used to say that Agnihotra and those kind of karmas which are specified in this Sanhita part of the Veda, they are karmas. That's what we normally understand. But Bhagavad Gita says any kind of an action, do physically, mentally, verbally, that is called as an action. And Yagna, Tapa and Dan, you must have read in the 18th chapter also. These are the three actions which have never to be given up. So Karma Yoga, maybe I'll just little later want to touch that part. How Karma Yoga becomes inevitable in all phases of our spiritual evolution. Yesterday we saw it is just a starting point. Anybody wants to come to spiritual path, they have to start with the Karma Yoga. Nothing else you can do. And that leads to Antakaran Shuddhi. Then there are three blemishes of the Antakarana. One is Mala, as we call it, and that is mainly Raga and Dvesha, likes and dislikes. That is removed by the observance of Karma Yoga. The another drawback of Antakarana is it is flickering. It is not stable. Okay? So that Nishchala Bhav is not there. It is constantly oscillating. Correct? So that steadiness of the Antakarana is constantly flickering from here to there, there to here, will come by Bhakti Yoga. So whenever we offer ourselves to divine and to worship, then we get steadiness of the mind. So first thing is removal of these blemishes or the impurities in terms of Raga and Dvesha. And then comes the steadiness which we do by Bhakti. So that kind of an Antakarana, which is free from the impurities and which is steady, that becomes fit for meditation. And then Jnana Yoga we call, and then ultimately we call Gnana Yoga, that is renunciation. So in Gnana Yoga, normally a Vividisa Sannyasi, as I said, right? So that gives up the normal karmas, what is given. and his entire energy and everything is devoted in pursuit of the self, in pursuit of the Ishvara. That is how. And so Karma Yogi and the aspirant of the Jnana Yogi or Vividisa Sannyasi are just equal in terms of spiritual evolution. They are sadhakas. Only one person is performing the path of performance of the action, the other person is performing the path of renunciation of the action. So both are considered at par and both can lead to that Jnana Yoga. That is what we are trying to see. Now, before I come to you, I just want to say, I don't think so much time is there for me to write, but I'll just say something verbally, okay? That you can just, let us see, you can visualize that way, and then we'll try to proceed in the verse. See. The Supreme Reality, Paramatma, that is normally referred to as Brahman in Sanskrit, B-R-H-M-A, correct? But that Brahman or the Paramatma is Nirguna Nirakara. Now that Nirguna Nirakara Paramatman, it is in Vedas say that someday it thought, let me become many. Ekoham Bahushyam Praja Yehekam. So that a kind of an inner wish came to that Parabrahman, and that is how that Brahman united with its own mysterious power called Maya, and then that became Ishvara. So one thing is Parabrahman, Nirguna Nirakara, Supreme Reality, and then we come to little relative sense that Brahman unites with its mysterious power, and that is called as a Maya. So Maya Upahita Chaitanya. Ishwari is Maya Upahita Chaitanya. Chaitanya is Brahman, and when it unites with that power of Maya, that is called as Ishvara, and that Ishvara is the cause of the entire creation. The cause of entire creation. Now how the creation came, even our scriptures have told that, but the purpose is not mainly explaining the creation. The purpose is to transcend the creation and go to Supreme Reality. So they say that from that Ishvara, or we can also call it Samashti Karan Shari. We can also call it Samashti, because three kinds of bodies we say, correct? So Karan Shari, Sukshma Shari and Sthula Shari. So Samashti Karan Shari Ishvara, that is Parabrahman with Maya. From that, what emerged was Samashti Man, cosmic mind. Cosmic mind, which is also called as Hiranyagarbha. So from the cosmic mind or the Samashti mind came cosmic prana. Or Samashti prana. And from that comes Samashti Sthula Shari. So this is how the whole creation, a lot of details are there, that Panchamatra and Panchamahabhutas, but let us for the timing understand only this much, that Parabrahman expresses at two levels, Samashti and Vyashti, universal and individual. So Samashti has no problem, correct? Parabrahman, Nirguna Nirakara, Ishvara also, Maya is in his control, Ishvara is the root cause of everything, Ishvara has no problem. Samashti mind, so all our individual mind is connected to that Samashti mind. And that is how we get intuition, Sometimes we get, I got intuition. So how do I get the intuition? Or I understand your feelings. You understand my feelings. How do it happen? Because the mind is also connected. It is not always isolated. So that is Samashti Mana. Hiranyagarbha we call also. Cosmic mind we call. From that comes cosmic prana. And then comes this whole world, which is comprising of this Panch Mahabhutas. Correct? Now we will see further that whenever we try to study Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, and we see this Jagat, how do we see Paramatman in that? Because in one sense we call Jagat is the Karya. Jagat or world is the Karya or the effect of Brahman. Correct? Jagat is the, so we are seeing Samashti side, correct? And ultimately we came to Jagat. Now Jagat is what? All this world of objects, what we see around us, all mountains, rivers, trees, including our physical body, including our individual mind and prana, that is all a part of Jagat. So when we say Jagat, it doesn't mean only what is outside. Jagat also means my own body, my own prana, my own mind. So this Jagat is made up of subtle and gross Panch Mahabhutas and Jagat. So Jagat is called as a Karya. Jagat is called as the Karya, effect of Brahman. And Jagat also has no problem. Because Jagat is fine by itself, in a very orderly way, the whole world is there, so beautifully it is functioning for the last millions of years. Samashti mind has no problem, Samashti prana has no problem, Jagat has no problem. And the Shastras are also not meant for them. Then Shastras are meant for whom? And who is the problem which is being addressed by the scriptures? So one side we took it as Samashti. So Brahman, Ishvara, Samashti mind, Samashti Pran, and this Samashti Jagat. Sthul Jagat, what we call it. The same Paramatman manifests as Jiva. The same Paramatman or Atman we call it, correct? Now Atman and Ishvara Brahman are not different. The sun is there, and let us see one of the rays of the sun, correct? Or we may say the ocean and one of the waves of the ocean. They are not different. A wave is not different from the ocean. A ray of the sun is not different from the sun. So likewise, as if one of the sun rays, one of the wave manifests in this Vyashti Sharira. And that normally, as discussing that day we were discussing, and that is reflecting in Antahkarana, that is called Chidabhas, that is called Jiva. If we don't go too much in technicality, let us say that one part, one ray of that sun comes in this body, which we normally call it as Atman or Jiva. Atman is Shuddha, like Brahman, but when that Atman identifies with this body, mind, intellect, then it is called as a Jiva. So, most important lesson of Vedanta I learned from someone, sannyasi, just it came to me. It's very simple, but that gave me a lot of happiness. That is Jiva a Karya of Brahman? Then he said, no. Jagat is the Karya. World is the effect. It has come from that. But Jiva is not the Karya. Jiva is Brahman, Paramatman himself manifesting in this individual bodily frame. But that is why they say Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. And what is Mithya? Mithya doesn't mean non-existent. Mithya means something which is temporarily existing, which does not exist by itself. Which does not exist by itself. It depends upon something for its existence. That is called as a dependent existence. That is called as a dependent existence. That is called as a Mithya. So it is there for some time. It has got Vyavaharik Satta for some time. But it is not the Paramarthik Satya. That is called as a Jagat. Right? So, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo, Brahmaiva, Naparaha. So, Jiva is not the Karya, but the Jiva is Parabrahman himself. Only thing is, when that part of divinity or that so-called Atman identifies with this body, mind, intellect apparatus, then the Jivatva will come. And the problem is there to that which is entity which is so called as a Jiva, which in essence is divine, which in essence is Brahman. So essentially it has no problem. It has not changed also. But only thing is, because just as Brahman identifies with Maya, at the individual level, we call Brahman identifies with Avidya or the ignorance of the self. What we call Maya at the Samashti level, we call Avidya at the individual level. So that Chaitanya, Maya Upahi Chaitanya, Avidya Upahi Chaitanya here. So Avidya and Chaitanya merges together, and then that particular thing happens. Now again there are three states of that also. One is called as a Prajna. Just as you got Ishwar at the Samashti level, at the individual level we call it as a Prajna. When we identify with the causal body. When is that state? That state is there every day in the sleep. That state is there every day in the sleep. So that Jiva experiences three states. Everything is beautifully explained in Mandukya Upanishad. But just to make it very simple, when it identifies with the causal body or the avidya, that is Sushupti Avastha. And actually we have no problem there also. Correct? Because that is considered as a very blissful state and we feel very happy about it. And that is reveals the nature of Paramatman every day. So problem is not to that Prajna also. When we identify with the causal body and when we Sushupti, we are very close to our Atman. There is no problem to that. Only thing is there is Avjnana is there, so it does not know itself, but it is experiencing the bliss of that. And that is the causal body identification. And then what will happen? It will also identify itself with the mind. That is called as the Tejas. That is normally dream avastha, and it will also be there in Jagrat avastha. And it identifies itself with the physical body, that is called as the Vishwa. So Vishwa, Tejas and Prajna experiences over that. So the entire Shastra, the scriptures, the teachings are addressed to this individual soul who is bound and who feels attuned to this upadis. That is what I just wanted to make little clear. Now, that Jagata, what we call, is called Kshetra. That is also called as a Kshetra. 13th chapter we see Kshetra. And the knower or the experience of that Kshetra is called as a Kshetragna. So, Kshetragnam chavi vidyamati. You need some material, otherwise how do you make anything, correct? So, the Brahman, is the Upadan Karan or the material cause for this Jagat. And I say Jagat includes this all body, mind, everything, correct? So, how can it be different from that? Supposing I make a pot from the soil, the property of the soil has to be there in the pot. So, pot, even though I called Anatma, this Jagat I called Anatma, non-self, the Karya, Trikalapi Tishtati iti Sat, one which exists forever. And it does not depend upon anything for its existence, but exists by itself. Exists by itself. That is called as Sat. Chit is what? Chit is what we call Jnana, revelation. Correct? So Chit is Jnana. Chit also means Shakti. It also means revelation. Now, there are two things. One very good words in one talk of Swami Dayanand Ji Maharaj I picked up. I really love these words, And he says there are two things. Revelation to the self and self-revealing. Try to understand. So beautifully these words are saying. Revelation to the self. Means the whole Jagata, the whole world, my body, everything reveals to me. Correct? So all Anatma is revealed to the Atma. Or the non-self is revealed to the self. The world doesn't experience by itself, but that is revealed to me. So revelation, revealing to the self. That is the property or the characteristic of Jagata. And self-revealing is what? Atman is self-existing, self-revealing. It exists by itself, it reveals by itself, So there is no other agency, no other pramana to reveal. Because everybody knows, I exist. That feeling we have in a very natural way. So Atman is self-existing, self-revealing, self-rejoicing. It exists by itself, Sat. Chit, it reveals by itself. It does not require any other agency to reveal. Supposing all the objects are there, we are able to see because sunlight is there. This incandescent or the fluorescent light is there. Otherwise, they will not be seen. But supposing you have got a radium or some kind of radioactive material, it shines by itself. It doesn't depend upon any other light to be revealed. But that is Sat, which is self-existing, existing forever. Chit is self-revealing. What reveals by itself. It's self-revealing. It doesn't depend upon anything for revealing. And it is self-rejoicing. Atmanyev Atmanatushka. It is happy by itself. It does not depend upon any external objects for its happiness. So this is the property or the traits of what is called as Atman or the Brahman. And the non-self is dependent existence. It does not exist independently. It depends upon something for existence. So that is called as dependent existence. Chit means it is not self-revealing, but it reveals to the self. And for happiness, it doesn't become happy by itself, but depends upon something else for its happiness. So having said this little more fundamental Vedanta kind of a thing, I just wanted to tell you how that do we, Jnana Marga also, we are able to behold Paramatman everywhere. So if you look at the Jagat, see there is a very good sloka in Drakdashya Viveka also, and you must have known it also. Asti Bhati Priyam Rupam Nama Chetya Panchakam. So any object in the world will have 5 elements. What are they? Asti means it exists. Even if I have this paperweight, it exists by itself. So Asti. Bhati means it reveals. So it reveals itself, so we are able to see Asti Bhati and Priyam. So it is something which is pleasant to like by somebody. You may say there is some other object or some other thing which is not liked by anybody. It won't be there. Any object in the world, it will definitely have some utility. It will definitely have some liking to somebody. Not even so-called fecal material, what we have. It becomes a kind of ingredient, for this colon bacteria which is called coliform, and that is able to decompose that. And even the dirt also is liked by some animals. So everything, the elements are asti, bhati, priya. So in the Jagata, wherever we see that existence, revelation and priya, these are all attributes of Parabrahman. Why it is like that? Everything exists. The very fact that everything exists is coming from Brahman. The very fact that everything is revealed, it is coming from Brahman. And it is priya, it is also coming from Brahman. So these are the three things. And Nama Rupa, what are there? So the Nama Rupa is what is Anatman, or that is the non-self, The Nama and Rupa will have a temporary existence, temporary validity. So whenever we look at any object in the world, the normal vision is, we look at it with Nama and Rupa. We identify with the name, we identify with the form. That is how we look at it. But the wisdom or the Jnana Yogi's vision will be, instead of looking at these names and forms, we try to look at Chaitanya, or we try to look at the substratum, as they call it, correct? Substratum, the Adhishtan, correct? Now this table, for example, can this table be Adhishtan for this clothes? No. It is a support. It supports that. But substratum means it depends upon its very existence, correct? So like that is. So initially I just said that Brahman is coming to this Jagata. So material cause is there. So Sarvavyapa. When we say Paramatman Sarvavyapa, because it has come from that Brahman, so whatever exists is coming from that Brahman. That is Upadana. Now, when you want to construct something, you need two kinds of persons. Suppose you want to make a pot, you need soil, and you also need that kumbhar, what you call in English, So the man who makes that particular pot. So what is that cause called as? Efficient cause, or Nimitta Karan. This is called as a Nimitta Karan, or the efficient cause. So that person is required. Now, who can do that? Supposing that man is making this particular pot, how can he do that? Only when he has a knowledge of that particular art and he has a strength of that particular art. Otherwise, he cannot do. So when we say omnipresent, omnipotent and omniscient Lord, we call Sarvyapak, Sarvagna, Sarvasaktiman. Now what are they? Why we call like this? Sat Chit Ananda is a Swarupa Lakshana of Paramatman. All time, everywhere it will be there. Swarupa Lakshana. Without that, it won't be there. Now, Sarvavyapak, Sarvagna, Sarvasaktiman, when we say, or we say Sarjak, Palak, and Sauharak, they are called Tatastha Lakshana. Because of this creation, these words are used, Sarvavyapak means everywhere in this creation. Sarvavyapak, Sarvasaktiman, and Sarvagna, omniscient. These words are used, these are called as Tatastha Karana Brahman, because of the Srushti, because of the creation. You have to use that, not otherwise. So three things, two powers are there. One is Upadan Karan, the Sarvavyapak, and Nimitta Karan, or the efficient cause. So that is Sarvasaktiman and Sarvagya. You see how intelligent the universe is, It is unthinkable. We look at the macrocosm, so many galaxies and stars and things the way happens. You see at the very earth also, the ecology, the environment. Even in the macrocosm, microcosm we see. Now how this kind of a Srishti can come unless somebody has supreme intelligence? It just cannot be an accidental creation, Even if you make something by human effort, there will be 10 different types of errors. Now how can, and if you look at the mysteries, if you look at the intricacies of the human body, a single cell, if you look, you have 30,000 genes inside that single cell. We have more number of microorganisms in our body than our cells. And how all these things can happen? Unless and until there is supreme intelligence. Today we talk of, this computer age and artificial intelligence, everything. Artificial intelligence is so much of intelligence put together. But this order in universe is Ishvara, No other thing. If we just look at the order, the discipline in the world, then only we see that in Ishvara, nothing else. But that Parabrahman had the knowledge of what it wanted to create. And then the power also. That is how this came. So when we say Sarvyapi, Sarvagna, Sarvasaktiman, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. So because of its material cause, it is Sarvyapak, and because of the efficient cause, it is Sarvagna and Sarvasaktiman. Now this, when you call, In the world, there are 5 elements, Asti, Bhati, Priya, Nama, Rupa. So the wisdom lies that beyond the Nama and Rupa, we see the Tattva or the substratum. And that is why in the universal prayer, Swamiji says, let us behold thee in all these names and forms. Let us serve thee. This is the actual Vedanta, very practical way it is told, that when we just see the whole world, not just see the Nama Rupa, see the Parabrahman behind that. So there is, let us behold thee in all these names. If we can see that, that's it. And when we serve also, we serve at Narayana Bhava, Atma Bhava. That is what he did when he was practicing medicine. And just come, that Bhava. Now this is all we discuss at the universal level. Now if I want to look at my own level, when I look at myself, how do I perceive Parabrahman? Or how do I reveal Parabrahman? Then there is another verse also in Advaita Makaranda, very good grantha is that. They say, it is stated that Aham Asmi. So we always know that I exist. Right? Nobody ever thinks that I do not exist. That is not there. Correct? Nobody can deny the existence. Because one who denies, the denying person himself is existing. So Aham Asmi, everybody has no doubts about that Aham Asmi. Sada Bhami. I always am revealed to myself. As I said, not revealing to the self, but self-revealing. Myself is revealed to me every moment without any effort, without any exercise. I have to make no effort for that. So Aham Asmi, that is Sat. Sada Bhami, that is Chit in that sense. And Kadachin Aham Apriyaha. I am never disliked by myself. Sometimes you see some people do dislike themselves and they take some mild action, they are depressed, this and that. That is a very different situation. But in a very specific situation, in a very general sense, we say, we always like. And even those people who take extreme steps are only because they think, that what they are getting is not coming to them. But ultimately, they also want happiness. They also want joy from within. But because somehow it is not experienced, it is perceived adversely. But everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to be priya. So, Aham Asmi Sada Bhami Kadachin Aham Apriyaha. And in the Upanishad also, Pradhan Upanishad also, very good saying is there. Atmastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati. Anything which is dear to me is dear only because it takes me nearer to myself. If I like my friend, if I like my teacher, if I like my family member, only because they help me going closer to myself. But if they are creating obstruction in that, they will dislike. So what is most dear to us is our own self. And that inner self, not in the selfish sense here they are saying, but the innermost self, the pure self, which is not different from Paramatma, the supreme reality. That is what I want. So everybody wants absolute existence, Sat. And that Sat means what? Everybody are existing, but supposing, we become out of power, or in the home we become elderly and people don't recognize us, somehow we will do something whereby we will prove our existence. No, I'm good for something, I still know this and that. In so many ways, we will try to prove our existence. That is called as Sat. Chit is we never like to be ignorant. Ultimately Jnana is our Swarupa. But when we do not know that Jnana, we try to find that Jnana in different kinds of objects and different kinds of things. Even if somebody is traveling in the train and somebody is opening the paper at a nearby place, we have no interest, but still, we'll try to see what is there, what is written. But that knowing something is very natural to us, because Jnana is our Swarupa. And likewise, Ananda also. So all the Ananda, what we get, Vidyananda, Yogananda, Rasananda, all kinds of Ananda, is basically a reflection of this Ananda of the self. And that is the Siddhaprajna, what that they were discussing. Atmani Atmana Pushta. It is content by itself, that joy which is not coming from outside. So what is self-existing, self-revealing, self-rejoicing? That is the self. And it is not that we are not experiencing it, we are experiencing it, but in a very discontinuous way, Sometimes when you like object very dearly, or when you listen to some talk or some subject which is beloved to you, you feel happy. So at that time, subject-object relationship ceases. Otherwise, in the world, we are so sad that I am the subject, this is object. I am experiencing. That subject-object differentiation is always there. Right? But then when that also ceases, then that is state of absolute delight, absolute joy. But that is actually the Sthita Prajna Lakshana of that. Correct? Now, again, there is not much of time left, but nevertheless, I just want to say something in this time, whatever is available to us. Just I'll cite some slokas which you can read for yourself. Just some essence I'll try to tell you. Now, yesterday we said, that who is the aspirant, and ultimately that when he takes the discipleship, then that the Lord's grace comes. Then we read about the Asochan and Asochasattvam. We did not try to do any grief, because as far as the Atman is concerned, it is immortal and the body in any case is going to die. So either way the shloka is not right. This is Jnana Yoga part. The first two slokas, just I am reading, that is about the Jnana Yoga part, correct? So now Bhagavan says, Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sato. This is also one very good verse of Bhagavad Gita. We are referring to only chapter 2 right now, and the 16th verse, which you can read in detail also. But na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sato. Very nice name. What does it mean? Na asato vidyate bhavo. Non-truth or the non-reality never exists or never subsists for a long time. In our normal life also, if something is not true, it will die down after some time, naturally. And the only thing which is true will last relatively longer. So, larger the truth, greater the existence. So, anything which is wrong happening to us, any wrong happening in the world, or any wrong ill experience which you are getting, if it is not true, you should not worry. We may try to nullify it, but we must understand that ultimately it has got a finite existence. Even if I don't do anything, it is going to die by itself. That is a sign of wisdom. And Jnani, or the realized Tattvadarshi, he is able to see, as we discussed, Sat, Chit and Ananda, either at Samasya level or at Vyasti level. And what is true will never cease to exist. So, we must always aspire for the truth to come to us. But we must at the same time know that truth is beyond time. It is in any case going to be there, and we may just put our efforts. But by its very natural disposition, truth will be there. So that is something which is a very good, not just consolation, but there is a very great message to us. Then one other very good verse in Jnana Yoga is, Na jayate mriyate va kadachin, na ayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyah, ajo nitya shashvato purano, na hanyate hanye mane sharire. This is the 20th verse. So when we say na jayate, means he is not born, it refers to whom? Atman. Na mriyate means he doesn't die. And it was not that it was not before, not that it will not be there afterwards like that. And what is the nature of the Atman? They say ajo, means which is the unborn. Nitya means which is not changing. Shashvato, Purano, Nahanyati, Hanyamane, Sharire. Now, we know that there are 6 types of changes which is happening in the non-self, correct? That you must have known. What is that? Jayate, that is the birth. Then, Asti means existence. Then, Vardhate means growth. Viparinamate, transformation. Then, Apakshiyate, that is decays. And then, Vinashyati. So these 6 changes are there. So here this particular verse is explaining that all these 6 changes are there only for the Anatma. They are not there for the Atman. The Atman is not born. So that is first step, Jayate and Namriyate. So that is the last step. In between also, it is not changing. Correct? So those things are indicated. There is a lot of technicality in that. But these are the, in Atman we cannot say attributes. But these are the, what shall we say, Swarupa Lakshana, as I said, correct? So inherent characteristics, Ajo Nitya Shashvato, Ayam Purano, Nahanyate Hanyamane Sharire. So it is not destroyed by this killing of this body. Then another very good verse is also there, it's 22nd, and that is Vasasi Jaranani Yatha Vihaya Navani Grahanati Naro Prani Tatha Sharirani Vihaya Jaranani Nyani Sanyati Navani Dehi. So this verse is also very well known. Just for the sake of reverence to Lord, I am reading out this. And the very well-known verse is there, correct? So whenever the clothes which are there, when they become old, or maybe an year or two after, we naturally change them. So like that, this Jivatma also is born with a prarabdha karma. Yesterday we were discussing about that karma, correct? So when it's sanchita karma, So all the karmas which you accumulated over so many previous births. Out of that, one part is called as the prarabdha karma. So we take this birth for exhausting that prarabdha karma. Correct? And then we also do some other action and karma phala, that's called as agami karma. So that day also we are discussing that what is the wisdom in that. That once we perform the karma yoga, in that case the subjective mind or the impressions or that sanskaras keep on diminishing, and ultimately when the knowledge of the self will come, not only the prarabdha karma, but all sanchit karma also will get burnt. That is the way to revelation and that is the way to salvation. So that is how when the prarabdha karma is exhausted, naturally, this body will fade. One of the biggest benefit or one of the greatest satisfaction of spiritual life is a person will not fear death, and it is very difficult to do that, Generally, the Mahatma also says that remember death every moment. But only when you remember death every moment, because of that fear of death, always, we'll try to remain, spiritually also active in our sadhana. But here also is that for a real spiritual sadhaka, he understands, he doesn't identify with the body, So in that case, he simply knows, that at the time of dissolution, this body is not me. It is all the Panch Mahabhutas which has come from there, it has come, growing and is going to merge in that. And I am Atman, but between this body and Atman, there is a mind also, and there is a prana also, which does not die. So that this Indriyas, Man and Pran, they do not die when a person dies. It's only the subtle body they call separates from the physical body. So what dies is only physical body. Subtle body doesn't die. So that mind and prana that goes with the Atman, and that is why it is also called Akshara. It is also called Akshara. Atman is called Purushottama. So subtle body does not die. And that is why when we are coming here, we are gathering the impressions and experiences of so many previous births also. Correct? So that subtle body is there, which is also going to remain. So whatever I experience, with maybe gross body is a different experience, but even with the death, the subtle body will be staying, and until it attains realization. So when it attains realization, subtle body also will die down. It is not permanent, but it will stay much longer. Like Maya also, Maya is Anadi, but Maya is San. Someday it will end. Likewise, Sukshma Sharira also someday will end. So the greatest satisfaction which a spiritual person will have is this, he will not fear death. Because constantly we identify ourselves with the Atman, and our identification with mind is more closer than the body also, correct? So that mind is also not going to die, prana is also not going to die until it attains liberation. So the greatest benefit of a spiritual life is they do not fear death. Everybody, and in some case we also may have it, even when we just lit the funeral pyre, just like, we have that particular feeling. And that is why this one verse also, when they say Nainam Chandra Sasrani, Nainam Dhati Pavaka, all these things are what can burning and drying and wetting. This can happen only to physical body, which is made up of Panch Mahabhutas, but it will not affect the Atman. Correct? And even subtle body also will not be affected. Correct? So when we leave this body, is always going to, we are going to survive with that subtle body until that cycle will go on until that realization takes place. And that realization also that happens, one is Sadhya Mukti, that like Gurudev Swami Shivananda Maharaj, Raman Maharshi, or all those great people realize in this very birth, in this, and after that also they live. So Prarabdha Karma is there, so they live, and at that time they may do the work, they may not do the work. Correct? They may be just simply with themselves, or they may be doing the work. Now here I will complete what I said, I will just discuss, otherwise I will miss out that point. That what is so-called Karma Yoga or selfless activity has 3 stages in our life. The first thing is when we are just beginning the spiritual life. So at that time, this is the only thing which we can do, which purifies the Antakarana, and that is the God's plan, God's way for us to evolve. Correct? So that is the first step. Then you say once you advance in sadhana, and you are able to meditate for longer hours, you are able to experience oneness with the God for a longer time also. Then why this service or why Karma Yoga is required? And then Chidananda Swamiji Maharaj, a very good book is there, the essence of Swami Shivananda's message to mankind. Now here is explained that even when you advance in sadhana, even when you are able to practice meditation for long hours, at that time it is required for sustenance or progress in your sadhana. Because the path of sadhana is very slippery. We may be standing very high and just stand in a snake game, from 99 you come 0. Like that it can happen. There is inherent danger also. So we should always be watchful. This is a very delicate game. We might reach and we can lose the last point also. So that is how that service is essential for sustaining the force of sadhana and the progress which you have made. So that little bit of service should be done. And then somebody asked Swamiji, then what about realization? Like Swami Shivanji Maharaj, Raman Maharshi. So what about them? So he said Swami Shivanji Maharaj also, after having had his realization in intense austerities, he went on service till the last point of his life. That is because, when he realizes himself, then that is Sarva Bhuta Hityarataha. So he is able to see the self in every being. So doing good to others, evolving them, is a natural instinct, It just can't stay without that. Sarva Bhuta Hityarataha. Because it sees the very self in others. There is no otherness for them. But that is how, even for a realized stage also, service or what we so-called Karma Yoga in normal sense is not diminishing. People like Raman Maharshi may not opt to do a lot of social service or actively engage in it. That's also possible. But that is one's individual choice, But whatever may naturally happen, they don't do anything in a planned way. Whatever happens in natural way, they want to do. So this is at Karma Yoga, as I said in Bhagavad Gita also. If you consider from chapter 2 to chapter 18, everywhere you will find reference to Karma Yoga. Although we say that chapter 3 is Karma Yoga and first 6 is Karma Yoga essentially, but you will find everywhere. Right? So initially for progress in spiritual life, then sustenance in spiritual life, and then as spontaneous expression of that. And then some more verses are there, but I think I may not be able to do that. I just want to refer to 2-3 verses, which essentially refer to that Karma Yoga, because we have talked so much about Jnana Yoga. Then they say, Traigunya Vishya Veda, Nisragunyo Bhavarjuna, Nirvandvo, Nitya Sattvasto, Niryogakshamatva. This is one very good sloka which explains the essence of Karma Yoga. This world is made up of 3 gunas, but you are transcending 3 gunas. Gunatit you are. Correct? And Nirvandvo, you are not occupied in these dualities. Nitya Sattvasto, there is more of Sattva. So all the sadhana which we have is full of Sattva. And Niryogakshav. So yoga is you want to gain something what is not there with you, and kshem is you want to preserve that. So yoga kshem is a worldly man's trait, That is not the moderation for a karma yogin, because it always depends upon the divine wish and it happens by themselves. And then that karmanyavadi kalaste we say, ma fareshu padachar, there we say. So there is you don't expect the fruits. Fruits in any case are going to come. But mati sangotsva karmani, and then one is one very yogastha, karmanyavadi, if you don't expect for the fruit, then why do you do karma? How do you do karma? Then this verse says, yogastha karmani, sangam tyaktva dhanayate. So be detached, and in the samatva bhav, you perform the action, and that steadiness, samatva, as I said, is a very good word in Bhagavad Gita. Samatvam yogachyate, nirdosami samam brahma. So many times this sama word will come. So when the mind is even, when the mind is steady, it leads to samadarshan, to pandita samadarshan like that. So yesterday also I was saying, that equality of mind will lead to oneness of self or samadarshana. And then there are slokas which describe the state of the realized stage, and the Atmaiva Atmana Tushta, there are all slokas are there. And the last sloka in the second chapter is this revelation, ultimately to realize stage when they say, I'll refer to one line. Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapti Rumiyati Sitvasya Manta Kaleki Brahma Nirvana Muchati. So when that superimposition ceases, we are able to abide in that Brahma and that Brahma Nirvana stage. What is the essence here is, they say, even at the last moment in life, if you are able to achieve Brahma Nirvana, the life is worth lived. Just as in the game of cricket, last ball also, if you score run and you win, like in the last moment also, the life is lived successfully. So what to talk about that person who from Brahmachari ashram is leading a spiritual life, trying to abide in the Atman. For him, liberation is nature. And that is God's special. That is God's will. And if we have a sincere aspiration, God's grace is bound to come to us. May we pray to Gurudev, may we pray to all compassionate Almighty to grant us the inner force to be able to have the aspiration, the realization of this highest spiritual truth which is profound in the world. It's like ocean. So whatever we take, is good enough for our evolution. May His grace ever be upon us. That is my earnest prayers in the feet of Lord Almighty and Gurudev. Hari Om. I just didn't take anything in between because I thought I am running time. Maybe little later we can discuss whenever time. Correct? Oh, Hari Om.